My ex and I got an apartment in January of 2023. The duration of the lease was for 18 months, and it had both of our names on it. Over the course of those 18 months, he limited my freedoms in a way that would have made it very difficult for me to leave. My car became undrivable, and he had me just drive his because it was easier than fixing mine, and his car was nicer anyway, so what was I complaining about? All of my paychecks went straight into a joint account for our bills that we split 50-50, $1,600 rent, $200 in utilities, his $700 car payment, and $500 insurance payment that we split because I was the one driving it, when my take-home pay in a month was $1,600 and his was $5,000. My leftover money would go towards groceries. It was fair, because he had over $30,000 in credit card debt that he was trying to pay down, and I was debt-free. What did I need all that extra money for when he would buy me anything I could ever need? I was never allowed to go see friends because I couldn't waste miles on his car, and my friends could never come over because he didn't get along with them. So eventually, I just didn't have any friends, and no couch to stay on if I ever needed it. I took a reality check and realized how bad things had gotten, small things adding up without me noticing, like a frog in a boiling pot. When I got a promotion at work, 6 months before the end of the lease, I secretly made my own bank account online to deposit the difference from my pay increase. 3 months before the end of our lease, when we had to notify the complex if we were staying or leaving, my ex suggested we cancel our lease and move into a newly built cabin on his parents' property so we didn't have to pay rent while saving up for a house. I agreed, thankful for an excuse to end the lease with my name on it. I found a roommate on the internet, lined up a new apartment and a new job. Until my car was fixed, my roommate would generously give me rides to work when possible, and when not, I would rideshare. A week before the end of our lease, while he was on a business trip, I broke up with him over the phone. He cried a lot, but seemed to accept it, which I had been worried about. He appeared amicable, even. I moved successfully, and everything was going well. Our lease officially ended on July 31st. Now for an update. On September 1st, I got a call from our old apartment complex that we had a balance with them at risk of going to collections unless I set up a payment plan. I never had access to our apartment payment portal, so I had no idea my ex hadn't paid everything in full. Upon request, our leasing agent sent a list of charges to my email: $100 for cleaning, $600 for trash removal, and $900 for damages. The cleaning was pretty much expected. The damages made sense, as my ex had made a couple of holes in the walls, either out of anger, punching, or drunkenness, falling, and he had already said he would pay for that himself when we moved out. The trash was unexpected, as I had made sure to personally collect and remove at least 10 huge black bags full of trash when I was moving out to avoid such a fee, as I knew he wouldn't bother. When I called him to find out what was going on, he said that the trash removal fee was probably from all of his things that he left behind after deciding he didn't want them, but that it was no problem, and he would pay all of the fees himself. The payment plan, after putting our security deposit towards the fees, amounted to $300 a month, paid by the 15th for 4 months. If the payment was made later than the 20th, the total would go straight to collections without notice. $300 should have been nothing for him, especially since he no longer had any rent to pay. I texted my ex on the 15th to make sure he hadn't forgotten, and he said he had made the month's payment already. Today, I got a call from a collector. My ex ignored my calls at first. Then, when he did answer, he told me he's too broke to be able to make the payments. There's no way I can pay it myself with how tight things are currently. My car isn't even done getting fixed yet, and the little bit of money I do have saved is meant to go towards that, so I don't have to keep spending money on ride shares. Even if I did put that towards the collections, it's still far from the $1,200 owed. I've worked hard to get a good credit score for my age and circumstances, over 700, and I'm so upset to see all my hard work be for nothing. I think my ex is doing this on purpose. He said at one point during the breakup, when we were separating our finances, that he doesn't care if he gets any fees or collections because his credit score doesn't matter anymore. He already has his car, and he won't need to rent anymore since he's staying on his parents' property, so he says it's basically useless. I think my ex is trying to sully my credit record so I can't rent or get a car at all in the foreseeable future. My current lease is only for 6 months, and I was really hoping to be able to get a newer, more reliable car at some point. He's told me that if I ever need a place to stay, he has a couch with my name on it. How do I get him to stop playing with my life and pay what he owes? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You are already out of his reach in a new place, and there is no reason to go back. You have a decent credit score currently, and as long as you don't have any trouble in your new apartment, they will serve as an excellent landlord reference if you decide to move at the end of that lease. First, block him on everything. Do not allow him to communicate with you. Then, contact the leasing agent. Explain that these damages were due to your ex and that you were unaware of the extent of his actions. Ask if you can make payment arrangements for your half of this debt. They may insist on the payment arrangements covering the entire amount, and if so, you may have to chalk this up to a lesson learned. But they are fully aware that most of the time this is going to be a payment arrangement situation, and if you are willing to promise to pay $100 a month, it is unlikely to negatively impact your credit score for long or even very much. The one thing you don't want to do is continue to contact him and expect him to do anything about this or follow through on any promises he makes. His only goal is to run and ruin your life, so expect everything he does or says to follow that plan. Comment 2. I've had too many friends in this situation. Honestly, I'm surprised no one has suggested getting a credit card with no fees or interest for the first year. Make sure you get one that will give you frequent flyer miles too. Putting the total on it, and then taking your time to pay it off little by little over the course of a year. Not only will it take it off your credit score immediately, but you'll also get a free flight out of it depending on the airline you choose. You mentioned having a good credit score, but no credit card debt. So this would be a solid option to close this chapter of your life so you can rebuild. Having an established line of credit will also make your score even better and make it easier to be approved for larger loans in the future, like when you finally decide to get a new car or nicer apartment. Now for the update. I'm not stuck in a hurtful relationship anymore, but my ex just ruined my credit score. I finally got some payback though. A few months after moving out in July, I got a notice about my credit score dropping. I thought I was in the clear, but nope. I checked my credit report and saw that my ex had missed payments on our joint account. Like, seriously? After everything, this is what I get? I reached out to the bank to dispute the charges, but they said it was linked to my account too. Great, just great. The bank suggested I contact my ex to resolve the issue, which I didn't want to do. I was already done with that drama. So, I decided to gather all the documents related to the account to prove my case. I found the lease agreement and payment receipts from when I lived there. I also discovered some old texts where my ex admitted to having financial troubles. I was just looking for some proof. To make matters worse, I received a letter from a collection agency about unpaid fees. The letter mentioned that if I didn't pay soon, it would go on my credit report. I was so mad. I went to a local coffee shop to cool off and think about my next steps. While there, I overheard a couple talking about their own experiences with debt collectors. They mentioned how they successfully negotiated their debts down, which gave me an idea. I remembered that my ex's parents owned a cabin and thought about how to use that info. I did some research online about how to handle debts and collections effectively. I drafted a letter to the collection agency disputing the charges and included my evidence. Then I sent my ex a text asking about the unpaid fees and mentioned the collection notice. He responded, saying he was busy and would handle it later, which didn't reassure me. I decided to take matters into my own hands, focusing on the unpaid apartment fees. I made a plan to visit the apartment complex and speak to the manager about the charges. At the office, I explained my situation and asked for a breakdown of the final costs. The manager was sympathetic and provided documentation showing my ex's missed payments. I asked if there was any way to resolve this without ruining my credit score. The manager suggested I could pay the fees directly to them to settle the account. I didn't have the funds at the moment, so I started thinking about my options. I remembered my ex had posted about a vacation on social media, showing off his new car. I decided to find out more about his financial situation. I discovered his parents had recently gifted him a significant amount of money. Lucky him. Then I contacted the bank to see if I could temporarily freeze my joint account. They advised me to close it completely to prevent further issues, which I agreed to. I started saving money to pay off the fees directly to the apartment complex. A month later, I had enough saved up and went to the complex to settle the debt. I paid the fees in full and got a receipt, confirming my account was cleared. I decided it was time to confront my ex about the financial mess he created. I invited him to a neutral location, a diner where we used to go when we were together. When we met, he seemed surprised to see me and immediately put up a defensive tone. I laid out the documents and explained what happened with the unpaid fees. He tried to deflect blame, but I showed him the payment history and my evidence. The conversation escalated when I mentioned the collection agency's letter. To my surprise, he offered to pay half of the fees to avoid further conflict. I agreed, but made sure to get it in writing, so he couldn't back out later. We shook hands, and I walked away feeling like I had finally gotten my payback. To answer a few questions, my ex and I were both on the lease for the apartment, which is why he was responsible for the fees. I had no idea he was making late payments until I checked my credit report. The joint account was set up for bills, but he often paid late or not at all. The collection agency was persistent, which is why I ended up going to the apartment complex to settle things. The breakup was done over the phone due to distance. Am I the idiot for telling my boyfriend to suck it up when he got overwhelmed at our family dinner? I'm aware of how stupid this is. I'm too young. I know, and that's why I'm terrified. My boyfriend and I have been together for 3 years now. I don't really know what else to say. I feel silly for even coming on here, but I've told no one. I haven't even told my best friend. I've been aware that I'm pregnant for about a week now, and it's been eating me up every single day. I feel so guilty that I haven't told my boyfriend, but I'm scared he might leave me. He's not a big fan of children. I don't know if this is the right place to post, but I'm just going to copy and paste it into some other places just in case it isn't. I really need advice on what to do. I'm sorry if this isn't enough information or anything like that. Please, if you're going to comment, don't go all, it's your fault. I'm aware. I don't even want to tell my mom. I've tried to tell my friend, but it literally wouldn't come out of my mouth, so I just made something else up. Now for an update. Thank you all so much for the comments and the kind words. The more I read the comments, the more I felt I needed to tell someone. I ended up calling my boyfriend. He came over, and I told him and showed him the tests I had. He cried. He said they were scared and also happy tears. I was also crying because I just haven't stopped since I posted this, to be honest. We spoke a lot about what we should do. We spoke about keeping the baby, having him baby on a living, or adoption. It will not be that one, though. He said to me that whatever option I feel is best, he will be there for me 100%. Being honest, I don't think I have the heart to abort the baby. I know technically it's not a baby yet, but I just know I'll feel guilty as the years pass more. As I've said in a comment, I never really wanted to be a mom, but I've had a few of those dreams where you have kids. And this one dream I always think about, and it makes me genuinely want a child. I understand how hard this is going to be if we end up keeping it. My boyfriend said he'll work more hours at his job. I have money saved up, so buying the basic baby necessities won't be a problem. If needed, I will spend all of my savings. Thank you all so much for all the love. Every comment kind of made me cry. I don't know if this will show everyone I've updated. I hope so. Thank you all again. We are going to make an appointment to get a scan, then we're going to make the decision from there. Another update. Today we let my mom know and his parents. They're both supportive and are going to be with us with whatever choice we make. But we've been speaking, and it's most likely going to be keeping the baby. I've told my best friend, and she's so excited already. She said if we do keep it, she's going to buy so many outfits. I'm just happy that everyone is being so supportive. It makes me feel so much better than I have this past week. And the amount of support on here has been lovely too. I appreciate it so much. I apologize if I haven't responded to comments. There are so many it gets hard to keep up with. I don't know if anyone will see this. This will probably be my last update. Thank you for all the support. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You get fewer options the longer you wait. Do you want to be pregnant? Assume you'll have to raise this child on your own because you are the only one you can rely on. Is that something you want? That's what you need to figure out first. If not, you have options. Talk to a local clinic. You don't even have to let someone else know. If yes, talk to those you trust most first. That may not be your boyfriend, and that's okay. Your family and friends can be your support. Comment 2. Have you two previously discussed what you would do if your protection or birth control failed and you got pregnant? This is a must-have conversation. You are only 19, and I highly recommend you get baby unaliving. There is none shame in seeking baby unaliving for an unwanted pregnancy. Now, for the update. 2 days after my last update, I went to the doctor for my first ultrasound. My boyfriend and I were excited to see the baby on the screen. The doctor said everything was developing normally. While leaving the clinic, I got a text from my sister asking how I was feeling. I replied that I was doing well and looking forward to becoming a mom. She texted back saying our parents were planning a family dinner to celebrate. The dinner was set for next Saturday at my parents' house. I told my boyfriend and he was happy to join. The day of the dinner came and I felt a mix of excitement and nerves. My parents had made a big meal with my favorite dishes. Everyone was there. My parents, my sister, my brother Jake, and his wife Rachel. Jake and Rachel were still excited about their own pregnancy news. During dinner, my dad made a toast to the new grandparents and soon-to-be aunt and uncle. After dinner, my dad suggested playing a game of charades. My sister picked a movie title and acted it out. I took my turn, and everyone laughed when I tried to mimic a character. My mom then asked if I had thought about baby names yet. I mentioned a few names I liked, and the table erupted with opinions. Suddenly, my brother made a comment about how I'd better get used to sleepless nights. I brushed it off, but my boyfriend looked uncomfortable. After the game, we all moved to the living room for dessert. While we were enjoying cake, my sister brought up baby showers. She excitedly suggested planning one for me. My boyfriend's expression changed. He shifted in his seat. I noticed him getting quieter as the conversation continued. After dessert, we started talking about plans for the baby. My boyfriend abruptly stood up and went outside for fresh air. I followed him and found him sitting on the porch, looking tense. I asked if he was okay, but he didn't respond right away. Finally, he admitted he wasn't sure about all the attention on the baby. He suggested we needed to talk about the baby later, away from everyone. I went back inside, but the mood felt off. My sister noticed and asked if everything was all right between us. I assured her it was fine, but the tension was obvious. After we left, I confronted my boyfriend about his earlier reaction. He confessed he was feeling overwhelmed by the whole situation. I suggested we take a break from family discussions. We agreed to have a quiet night in to relax. The next day, I got a call from my best friend who wanted to meet up. We decided to have brunch at the local diner, where we could talk freely. She asked about the dinner, and I filled her in on the awkward moments. She suggested we throw our own small celebration with close friends. I liked the idea and started planning a casual gathering for the following weekend. A few days later, I casually mentioned to my boyfriend that I wanted to invite friends over. He seemed more relaxed about that idea, and we both started getting excited. The gathering turned into a fun day with games, food, and laughter. I honestly thought the family dinner would be a disaster after my brother's comment, but it wasn't. Still, I can't shake off how tense my boyfriend was. I know we need to talk and figure out a way to deal with family stuff without stressing us out. My best friend's idea of a small gathering with friends was awesome, and it felt good to celebrate with people who get us. But yeah, I'm still a bit on edge about all this family drama and just want it to be smooth sailing from here. I'm not doing well, so any advice would be much appreciated. Edit. I forgot to mention that my boyfriend's tense reaction wasn't just about the dinner. He's been feeling anxious for weeks. Am I the idiot for calling out my girlfriend for choosing a dance event over my son's big day? I, a 47-year-old man, have been with my girlfriend/partner, a 49-year-old woman, for 7 years. We have a stable, loving relationship for the most part. I have 2 kids, a 14-year-old son and a 12-year-old daughter from my previous marriage. My kids spend summers with their mom on the other side of the country and the school year with us. My son is a freshman this year and part of the high school marching band. His first competition is on Saturday. We've had it on the calendar since the beginning of the month when we received the schedule. My girlfriend has plans to attend some sort of dance event the same night. I can't remember when she signed up, but she's still planning on going. I'm a little bothered that she's choosing this over coming with us, but whatever. She asked me on Sunday if I could go with her. I politely said it was important to be there for my son, and besides, I had also signed up as a parent volunteer. She seemed to take it okay. She then called me at work this morning and asked again. She had asked a couple of friends, but none of them could go. She said things like, "He has other competitions, right? Meaning, would it matter that much if I missed this one?" It actually would, and it bothers me that she doesn't seem to understand that. I tried to talk about it on the phone, tried to see if maybe I could make both things work, but she rather passive-aggressively said, "Don't worry about it, it's fine." But I could tell it wasn't fine because she sounded quite sulky. She had been on my case recently about making sure I was spending equal time with everyone, her, my daughter, and my son, because she feels like he's been the focal point recently. In addition to band, he's also playing volleyball, so it's been a busy fall. I honestly make an effort to be there for everyone, finding time to give of myself to the point of wearing myself out. Now for an update. He marched in the homecoming game last Friday, which was his first actual time marching, and she chose to go to a baseball game with her friend. Now she's again choosing to do something else. I feel like she's feeling insecure about our relationship and/or weirdly jealous of my relationship with my kids. I feel terrible inside. I feel like if our roles were reversed, I would be completely understanding and supportive, and whatever plans I had, I would cancel to be with the family. I don't know what to say to her. There is a window Saturday night that I could try to go and spend part of her dance event with her. It would require quite a bit of rushing around on my part, but I'm willing to do it. I just don't feel good inside about this, and I'm upset that she's put this on me. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. So she would rather your son be disappointed as all hell because you, his father, are missing his first big marching event to go to a dancing event. That is so selfish and gross. I can understand why you are upset about it. I am remarried and have my kids like 2/3 of the time, and my husband very specifically does not make any plans around important things for them. Granted, they are not in high school yet, but still. If something like that conflicted, he would absolutely miss his event to be there and cheer them on, and he has only been in their lives for about 3 years. Comment 2. Has anything major changed in your lives in recent months? Have the two of you lived together for most of that time? 7 years is a long time to be involved in the lives of 2 children, and then suddenly decide that you're going to undermine parental time with them, especially as they enter the teen years. What's missing from this story? Now for the update. I just got back from watching my son perform at his first high school marching band competition, and it was awesome. The girlfriend chose to go to her dance event instead of supporting our son, which sucked, but I still had a great time. I got there early to help set up for the band's performance and saw my son during the pre-show. He looked nervous but focused. The performance started, and the band played really well. I took a bunch of videos to capture the moment for my son. After the performance, I met up with him, and he was thrilled with how it went. I congratulated him and said we could celebrate with ice cream afterward, so we headed to a local ice cream shop. While we were at the shop, I got a call from the girlfriend. She asked how the performance went, but sounded distracted. I told her we were celebrating with our son and invited her to join, but she said she was busy and would catch up later. My son and I went home after that and enjoyed our ice cream together. The next day, I decided to talk to the girlfriend about her choices. I invited her over for dinner with the kids. She showed up late and only brought dessert. During dinner, we talked about the band competition, but she seemed uninterested in the details. My son excitedly shared stories about the event, but she didn't really pay attention. I noticed her texting under the table. The kids finished dinner and went to play in another room. I confronted the girlfriend about her lack of support for family events. She argued that she needed to pursue her interests too. The argument got worse, and the kids overheard. My son walked back in, looking confused by the atmosphere. The girlfriend suddenly decided to leave, saying she needed space. The next day, I got a text from her suggesting we take a break to think things over. Later that week, the kids had a volleyball game. I was surprised to see the girlfriend there. After the game, she came up to me, and we talked about what happened and our expectations. We agreed to find a balance between personal interests and family time. A few days later, we set a date to discuss our plans moving forward. Things are still complicated, but I feel like we're making progress, and I'm hopeful that things will improve for all of us. The kids took the news of us taking a break better than I expected, and we talked about it as a family. They both expressed their support for whatever choice I made, so that made me feel better. My son is still a bit confused by everything that's been going on between the GF and me, and my daughter seems a little hurt that she didn't get to see her dad at all of her games. I know it'll take time to sort through everything, and I'll keep everyone updated if anything big happens. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.